Villagers, we are back. Muirfield Village, the Memorial, the Austrian Alpine Open, a new event on the DP, or an event that hasn't been recent on the DP, a new iteration of it this year. But first, we've got some golf to talk about from last week at the Colonial, at Soudal. I know it was rough for you at Soudal. We've already also, for the listeners, we always say, we don't pre-pod. We just hop on. We haven't talked much golf. We just jump into it. We just did 40 minutes with wrists, which will be on at the end of this. So maybe this portion of the pod will be shorter because ultimately the U.S. Women's Open might be event of the week outside the Austrian Alpine Open. So we're warmed up a little bit. So I know kind of how you're feeling, but we haven't talked much about the difficult week for you last week.
Yeah, we also already talked about the ending of Colonial, so we're not going to talk about it. Don't ask us any questions about that. Did that off air for the first time, which we usually don't do. But yeah, it was a little bit of a tough weekend in terms of the sweats. Obviously, Ewan Ferguson, which we didn't talk about this. Remember my past history with him? Bet him 3 straight weeks.
Oh, I forgot about
the
this.
1 week, the Porsche European, and then he lapped the field one there.
Is he your most hated? He's got to be your most hated golfer then.
Gotta be now after this week.
Just tell people what happened last year.
Oh yeah, last year I was, on the site. I bet him 3 straight DP World Tour events. Got off, wasn't playing. He was playing all right. Nothing. He didn't get into the mix, and then I got off him for the Porsche European Open, I believe it was, and then he won that with ease. The week I got off him. That's how it goes in this world. And then this week, DP World Tour Soudal Open, the easiest handicap of the year. You sort by driving accuracy, and you go from there. Ewan Ferguson had the world in his hands, was leading all week, and he, on the 72nd hole, had 120 yards from the light rough, nothing crazy, 60-yard green front to back, massive green on 18, no more than a sand wedge or a gap wedge or 60-degree. Decides to hit it a good 15, 20 yards over the green. It didn't look like he bladed or anything. Looked at his caddy like, what the hell was that, man? What the hell was that? Obviously, didn't get it up and down. He needed to make par to win the golf tournament. Ends up losing, going to a 3-man playoff with the man who set the course record, Viking Cup, now top 5, Christopher Wrighton. So it was just, losing to Wrighton is okay, but the way it happened took me 24 hours to recover.
Because I'm out here, I'm back on the West Coast, out here in SF, and because of that, the DP tracking is great for the first couple of rounds because you can get some early round tracking at night, but it's not as good in the mornings. And if I had a guy in the mix, I would have been up. I would have been on it. I was going for 3 in a row on the DP. Didn't even come close. Way too much pressure on my golfers this week. One of the worst handicaps I think I've had of the year on the DP. That's to be expected. Too much pressure. Overthought it. All around bad performance from me. And because of that, I knew you had Ewan. I knew he was playing well. I was disappointed in myself because my Ewan Ferguson take is once a year, his odds are half of what his normal odds are. He's been in the 60s to 80s all year, but this week he was in the 30s to 40s. Every time that happens, he hard mixes. The books know Fergie. And because of that, I was disappointed in myself because I saw that this week and I thought, just do what the books are telling you. It's Ferguson week. And then you were on him. He was right there. But I was rooting for you down the stretch. I woke up thinking he was in good shape on Sunday. First thing I see on my phone, open it up. He's finished 17. He has a 1-shot lead. I click the shot tracker. He's in the intermediate rough. And I'm like so tired that I want to go back to sleep. And I just, in my head, said it's over. He's 100 yards out in the intermediate rough. He just needs par. And when I woke up an hour later and saw what happened, first of all, I felt terrible. And I was shocked. It seemed like, was it strokes gained caddy? He just nuked it over the back.
It was nowhere close. Like, it flew the green by a good 15 yards, and he almost hit like the hospitality area. And then he hit a pretty poor chip. Like, it wasn't impossible up and down. Ended up hitting it to like 9 feet, and he just totally decelled on the chip. Probably should be working with Mayo. Shout out wrist, and just lipped out the putt too. It was just everything that lipped it out.
Yeah.
So it was just I was getting a car wash. I was celebrating. I was so excited. I stopped watching on the TV at my house, watched it on my phone in the mini corner out of my phone because I wasn't really tracking anymore. He won. And I was like, are we serious right now? haven't been mixing hard on the DP, haven't been having a good month on the PGA Tour. I was like, breakthrough. You get hot one week, and then they start piling through. You know how it goes. Thought this was my breakthrough week at the Soudal, and tough. The DP never, ever, ever fails. Ever.
Because that was like on a 12x card too. That would have shot you up the DP standings. I was shocked when I woke up. Honestly, I thought I was going to wake up to text. I thought I was going to wake up to a Vic Lap tweet, a winning tweet from the Vince Eric's account, and I didn't. And that's the DP though. You cannot have the third. That's why Marty Cooves. This is why we talked about his win being so insane in Turkey's. You can't have the 36-hole lead and win on the DP World Tour. Even when you think you have it in your hands, it's not possible to do. It strikes again.
Strikes again, and I mean, it felt good to feel something. It felt good to have that hard mix. Like I said, haven't been every single year. You're going through like little humps and valleys of mixing and not mixing. I was in a little valley of not mixing, and then I had a decent weekend of mixing. I mean, for what it's worth, had Tommy Fleetwood in the mix at Colonial. Does not count.
Does
not count. But I got the mix at Soudal, and it felt good to really get back in there, get a hard one, and really have it fight to the end.
I'm excited for the Austrian Alpine Open because I do think I do some of my best betting on the DP at new courses. The Marcos win that got me going on the DP was in Henan, which was a course that we didn't really know much about. And then the Turkish course they hadn't played in a long time. So I'm excited to get back to, I overthought Soudal. As you said, easiest handicap of the year. I should have just sorted by, but Wrighton's a bomber, right? Viking Cup.
Right, yeah, Wrighton sends it off the tee. He just had the high fade on lock. Just it was missed I saw on Sunday specifically. He was not playing great golf. He was unconscious on Sunday. Shot the course record by who was the course record holder was Matty Schmid. Matty Schmid loves this time of year apparently. So a sick transition. But I guess while we're here, give me the quick 5 to 30-second rundown on what we're looking for at the Austrian Alpine because it's a new course. You said you looked at that a little bit.
The people listening are probably thinking, are these guys really not going to talk about Colonial? We'll get to it in a second. But yeah, Alpine, nuke central, in my opinion. Nuke central off the tee. First thing I did as soon as I looked at the course, I went and searched Marco to see if Penge was playing. He's not playing, but that was going to be a hammer on Marco.
Played well at Soudal. Yeah. He was in the final group on Saturday with Ewan. So,
and that's why I wanted to bet him because he's clearly playing generational golf. And I was thinking,
and he won Quail, so
yeah. And if he could play good at Soudal, and then he was about to go to a bomber course, I was like, we're going to be absolutely
in for it.
But yeah, so he's not going to be there. I won't probably do it, but the top of the board is actually intriguing me with Rasmus Neers and Hao Tung.
Rasmus Neers played bad last week in his DP debut of the season. Hao Tung is playing unbelievable golf this year. He's gonna make the tour next year. He's gonna be on the PGA Tour.
I didn't realize Hao Tung was T4 at Soudal. Hao Tung is 25-1. I will probably bet Hao Tung.
He is playing. I wonder where he is in the DP standings because he's going to be on the tour next year, and we're going to be talking about Hao Tung every week.
We're less than 10 minutes in. We're already talking about Hao Tung on the pod, and he's been playing amazing. This is his run of play. He won the Qatar Masters over Rasmus Neers. Then he was T41 in Kenya. Since then, he's gone T16, T9, T4, T51, T2, T4. He's fifth on the DP standings, but Rory and Hatton are ahead of him, and they're not going to count in the top 10 for going to the PGA Tour. So as long as Hao Tung doesn't pull a Sebastian Soderberg, he's in.
This is the week where it happened too. So or close to the week where it happened. So you never know. But also, what was I going to say about the DP? I forgot. If it comes, I usually don't do this. This happened like once every.
This happens to me often, where I forget what I was going to say. Also, the quick flash in the pan performance from Brandon Robinson Thompson. I saw he toss his name into the mix briefly, but then he wasn't. If all you did was bet him, I always get it backwards. Robinson Thompson. Yeah. BRT. If all you did was bet BRT to have the low round of the day, one day each tournament, probably the most profitable bet in golf history.
If the jock market still existed, it used to be a thing, and you bought BRT stocks and just sold them like once per week, he would be so rich because he does this every single week. Oh, what I was gonna say is, when is the PGA Championship back at Harding Park? Because if it's in the next year or two, Houghton could be there defending champion.
I think it's the most recent or the next event in SF from a major perspective is going to be a
Olympic
PGA
Club?
Olympic Club, which isn't a Houghton course, but the vibes of
No,
SF might be enough to.
but it is at Harding Park in the next what? What is it? It could be. I could be so wrong. I thought
No,
I
I
saw it in
think
the next 5 years.
it might be. What is at Olympic Club this summer? We talked about before is the
Walker?
U.S. Amateur.
Oh, you were saying that's right.
I'm gonna boots the U.S. Am at Olympic Club at a strong,
real hard,
merely from a future dog ranking perspective. Because our boy, we started him the year in the Viking Cup rankings. David Ford, the only amateur in the Viking Cup rankings, number 1 on the
PGA Tour U.
PGA Tour U. He's got his card jers. We did it.
We
Here
did
he
it,
comes.
and we did it, and I met him at the Masters, and he is a nice guy.
Are we both wearing light blue caps in honor of him and Ben Griffin?
Yeah, we definitely plan wearing light blue and black for the pod.
But that is a perfect.
I was like, this is sick.
That is a perfect transition, though, because we asked BG. We talked to Ben Griffin, and if you haven't listened to the Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak pod to this point, and you're listening today, go listen to BSB Novak and Ben Griffin pod from the night before the Zurich Classic. It will live on as a document. They should put it in the Smithsonian because it was the moment that changed Ben Griffin's life. And he is now won 2 of the last 5 events. We talked to him about David Ford. We talked to him about North Carolina. We talked to him about so many things. This was a confident man when we talked to him, Jers, but he was a man without a PGA Tour. When he specifically said, some of my friends, some of the people he's seen have won once and then picked up a second win on the PGA Tour. I'm as disappointed in myself from a betting perspective of any week of the year. Most disappointed in myself for not betting Ben Griffin. I didn't bet the without. People in the comments were saying, stick with it. Don't bet the without. I didn't, but I put together a dumb card that had Maverick McNeely on it instead of Ben Griffin, that had Jordan Spieth on it instead of Ben Griffin. Akshay was a good bet. He was on the card. I had a very small card, only 4 guys. Only one of them played good Akshay. Why didn't we bet Ben Griffin? All we have to do is bet the guys we've talked to, and we would have won 2 of the last 5 events.
No, you're not wrong about that. And I will say you had better Griffin senses last week than I did. I was way less in than you were. But I'm impressed, and I know he has the game. More than anything, I want to say, like, the dude is Kyle Berkshire. He hits the ball freaking long. He is going to be a problem at Bethpage because his opponents are going to be like, yeah, I got Ben Griffin this week. And then he's going to blow it by Tommy Fleetwood and the middle hitting European guys by 25 yards every single hole at the big boy track of Bethpage Black. So look out, Europeans.
He's like drop stepping his front foot from the tee. He's like stepping sideways so he can get as much hip turn as he possibly can.
He's nuking it. He is nuking it. It's generational stuff.
And we talked to him on the pod about the new golf ball. We talked to him about improving his driving. What I will say about him, like, and it stood out, I think, on the podcast, and it stands out in his interviews. Like, he thinks a lot about what he's doing, like the numbers, his strategy. Like, he's clearly wanting to maximize all the guys want to maximize their performance, but some of them, I would say, dive deeper into the understanding how they can statistically improve. And others, he's clearly a numbers guy. He said, I need to get better off of the tee. What's the best way to get better off of the tee? It's not to figure out how to hit the driver straighter. It's how to figure out how to hit the driver further. And that's what he's embraced. And yeah, his long irons, his iron play is great.
His long irons are so good. He puts the
high
he makes those
about it. Why didn't we bet him? This is why I'm mad. We're seeing it with our own eyes. We talk to him. We talk about him on the pod every week. Yeah, sure. It's easy to say, oh, we should have bet that guy. We should have bet Ben Griffin. We really should have. Why didn't we? Especially you could have bet without. It was a mistake.
Every single week, every single time, they showed him on like the 250-yard par 3 or the long par 3s. He was putting to like 15 feet every time. And guys were like, it's a hard hole. Obviously, guys were messing up on it. He was putting it to like 8 to 15 feet every time. I was like, dude, this guy flushes the long irons.
Yeah, because I was up in Napa this weekend. First time going to Napa. Shout out the Fortinet, shout out the Procore, shout out Sahith, shout out Pat Cantley and Xander, who don't play the tournament, but they go there and drink wine. And now that I've been there, kind of understand that. Fair enough. Shout out Pat and Xander. But I wasn't able to watch as much as I would have liked. And because of that, I was checking on the app. And yeah, he'd get to like a 250-yard par 3 or a long par 3, 12 feet, 16 feet, 18 feet.
Not a big deal.
He was hitting it so nice. And the reason that because he was my pick in the 8K range, I wrote him up on the site, is he had putted these greens really good in his career. He missed the cut here last year, but he had gained 1.4 putting per round. So he had putted really good. He just didn't hit it good. But he's been generationally striping. That's the whole point of what we're doing. And so it was just like, there's also the piece of bent grass greens, and he came on the pod and talked about Bermuda guy. He gets stressed when it's bent, but the rest of the course is Bermuda. And if he had already been putting good at this course, clearing the only thing that would like scare me about him, it is a Bermuda course everywhere else. He's striping. I strongly considered him and put together a terrible card. And because of that, it's my biggest regret of the year. It really is.
Yeah. I mean, I hear you. We all have regrets. Hopefully this is your biggest one and you don't have to have another one where you should have been on someone we weren't.
Actually, Alejandro Del Rey at the where Nikolai won the Middle East event.
Ras Al
Khaimah. Yeah, that actually is my number one regret. This is number 2. But I'm also like, in the same way that there's probably been guys I've bet before, like Alejandro Del Rey, I was rooting against with all of my heart once he was in the mix. I was like, please don't let him win. I will feel so terrible. I was rooting for BG.
Yeah.
I was, and BSB Novak is waiting behind the green. Like, take betting out of it. Take betting out of it. What a moment for BG, for the pod bump. His first top 10 last week. We talked about him at 350 to 1. So even though I wanted to be on him, I wanted to bet him, I wanted to win money, I wanted to hit for the site, it was beautiful to watch. It wasn't easy. He tried his best to lose it. However, this is the ultimate question. He was in the dog rankings with BSB Novak last week. In the overall top 50, though, they were 50th, and they were in it together. If you remember, the listeners will know I added Novak and Griffin as a team into the top 50, but they hadn't gone individually. BSB's been removed from the top 50. BG stands alone at 50th. Okay. He won. He's won 2 out of his last 5, but it got sketchy, Jers. It got really sketchy.
It did get sketchy, but it was sketchy for everyone. No one was really – everyone had the chance to make a charge. No one did because the course was playing that difficult. BG did some questionable things. Just hit some – I mean, he just hit some bad shots, but he had enough of a lead to make it happen. He did make some really, really clutch putts, though, on that throughout. He missed a few, but he made some really clutch ones that he needed to make over the last 10 holes. So I was just like you. I was happy for him. I wish he could have been in the Vinceric shirt maybe one day. But always good to see the friends of the pod prosper. People in the Discord had him. They said the shout out Vinceric.
Well, yeah. And at the end of the day, like there's people who, and we always appreciate anybody, whether you listen to the pod, like and subscribe on YouTube, whether you subscribe to the site, whatever it may be, whether you're in the Discord, the free Discord, Discord at vincerics.com, if you ever want to get in there. I feel like in some ways we've helped at least some people know a little bit more about Ben Griffin, and like by like shouting him out, pointing out that he's bending it further. Again, I wish I was on him, but it's fun that a guy that we wanted to get on the pod with Novak because they're up and coming players. They came on the pod and said their goal is to go to Bethpage. Why wouldn't BG go to after the pod, we chuckled a little bit. I remember I was texting with BK and it was like, yeah, that was kind of funny. Like that they said they wanted to go to Bethpage. Why wouldn't BG go to Bethpage now?
There's guys every single Ryder Cup where they have a hot spurt or hot season. You look back at it and maybe like 5 to 10 years, like, oh, remember when X was on the Ryder Cup team? They're on it for a reason. Like they playing good golf, bring the best players to the Ryder Cup. And looking at Monday, May 26th, Ben Griffin, I think, deserves to be there. Whether it's a 12th spot, 10th spot, get him on the team.
T4 in Mexico, T4 in the Palm Beaches, win at the Zurich, T8 at the PGA, win at the Schwab. As long as he is like competent and maybe picks up another top 10 the rest of the season, maybe 2 more top 10s.
Yeah.
He does what you want. He nukes it off the tee now. He's a great long iron player. He can make putts and he's streaky. Like him and he won a best ball event.
Yeah, you want yeah. You don't have to sell me on BG at the page.
If BG is not on the Ryder Cup team, I'm rooting for Europe. I'll say it right now.
Okay. Clip it.
Clip it.
Clip it.
Mark it down. Even if he misses every cut from here until the Ryder Cup, I'm taking my stand that BG should be at Bethpage. And if he's not, I will be supporting Luke Donald and the Europeans.
I mean, you pair Scottie and BG, you get BG's bombs, you get Scottie's elite iron play, and you get the 2 best long iron players in the world, BG and Scottie.
Guaranteed points every time.
Let's do it. We need to. I'm in. Get him on the team.
It's an absolute slam dunk, no brainer. And he was T8 at Quail. He'll be there. He'll be there. He really will. And he beat, most importantly, because speaking of Ryder Cup, we've been talking about on the pod, Random Euros of the Week, strokes gained Europe has been dominating in the world of golf this year on the PGA Tour. He took down Matty Schmid, strokes gained Germany, in the final round. Schmid is not a serious player, in my opinion.
No.
So I can't give him too much credit, but at the end of the day, the power of Europe has been so strong this year, and BG defeated Europe, mano a mano, basically match play situation, and Tommy.
And Tommy, yeah, for what it's worth. I mean, yeah, Matty Schmid popped T7 runner-up in his last 2 starts, a very streaky player, a guy that I used to bet a lot early on in the season. But yeah, I'm high on his game. He is a high ceiling player. He could get into the mix and stay in the mix. What he did with the putter last week was really impressive. He was never gaining strokes putting in round 4. That was going to always come down to earth, but that was his best career putting performance. So shout out Matty Schmid. Also had a good ball striking week. So when you pair those 2 things, it definitely works. And he's in the field this week, so he earned his way to.
My issue with Schmid is even when he was on the DP, I always thought of him as a low dog player. Like he's always been super talented, but he's not won. He didn't win on the DP in 3.5 seasons on the DP. He's obviously not won on the tour, but I wouldn't hold not winning on the tour against him as much as I would hold not winning on the DP against him. And he always, when he plays well, like he doesn't look comfortable. I would say, like he looks he doesn't, like BG's out there smiling, thumbs up, rolling with the punches. Like, this is great. I'm loving golf. Schmid, when he gets in the mix, always just looks so nervous, effectively, in my opinion. Like down the stretch, and he's always looked like that. Back to when I first event, it might have been Sudal that time. He said that he just jumped out as looking a little shaky under the gun. And obviously, he's a young player. He's improving. But on 17, I know you didn't see it. You were tracking. I've never heard the announcers, Dottie, Ian Baker Finch, Immelman, just going, what is this guy doing? I can't believe he's doing this. Why is he doing this? He was plugged in the bunker on 17, 1 shot behind BG, who is off the back of the green. And instead of playing towards the green or the pin, he literally intentionally hit it into the rough.
I was confused when I looked at the tracker. I thought it was a shank, to be honest. And clearly that wasn't the case. What was the full rationale behind it?
That because it would have been very difficult to keep the ball on the green because the greens were so firm. But you're 1 shot behind, and the announcers were just like, at least give yourself a chance of hitting the pin, hitting a great shot, like by not going towards the pin at all. And he did get it up and down for bogey, but he was basically giving up on par entirely.
Like on a scale of 1 to impossible, like how impossible was it, the up and down?
He could have got it. A good shot would have probably put him on the fringe 15 feet away.
Well, like you can make that putt.
Yeah, and he was
not
putting
going to chip in.
That was his whole thing. Why would you not put the he gained 8.4 putting. Put the putter in your hand, even if you're 80 feet from the hole. Aim at least towards the green.
That's like Jaeger taking 3-wood off the 72nd hole at the Sony. What are you doing, bro?
Also, strokes gained Germany there. Maybe there's
oh, shit. Low dogs in the caddy. Shit.
Tough situation. But yeah, I mean, shout out again, Schmidt. It's 3 top 10s in his last 4 starts. He's always had driver putter potential, and now he's hitting the irons good, which to your point has always been part of the issue. He's looking like a player who can get back into the mix, and I think he's capable of winning. I'm not going to declare Schmidt low dog forever, but I've always thought of him as low dog, and I was intrigued to see how he played in this position. And if he had won, obviously, all the power to him. But some tough scenes down the stretch for Matty Schmidt. But then he did chip in on 18, but he had already lost it at that point, and you got the fact that he chipped in was probably even more proof of why wouldn't you have at least tried to make your bunker shot? Go with the pin.
Yeah, I turned that back on because I was pulling up to a concert yesterday afternoon, and I wanted to watch Ben Griffin's speech. I thought it was going to be over. I put it on. I see Schmid like in the water almost. He's barely on the screen. Ball goes in. They just pan over to Ben. He's like smirking, like, seriously, I have to deal with this now. And then he made that 4-footer with no problem. But I was like, this is going to happen. Like, it always happens to the guys like you really want to win, or you have an outright on, or guys that don't win easily. Like, they have to deal with that stupid adversity. Like, yeah, of course, this guy freaking makes it.
Like anytime somebody that I've ever bet has to go up against Pablo or off the ball in the DP.
Exactly.
That's what you just have to deal with. But to Ben's credit, did you hear what he said? He said, I kind of assumed he was going to chip in, and I knew it was an easy putt, and I wasn't worried. That's dog. And for that reason, he belongs in the dog rankings.
Yeah, keep him in there. Maybe bump him up a little higher.
But yeah, Colonial
is a gem.
Should it be hosting a major?
Like, yeah, it's such a good spot on the calendar. It's such a fun week every single year. Guys don't want to play it. Guys don't want to play 2 like brutal tests back to back. But that's not always Colonial Memorial, but it never draws the field that it should. It draws the Texas men and then like the rest of the tour, like the second, third level guys. I just want to see more of the top names at Colonial. Because it's just year in, year out, a great fun finish, a great watch. And Ben Griffin was winning by infinity strokes, and it came down to the last putt. Like it's a great watch.
Yeah, when I had Burns there and he won, it was from infinity strokes.
Yeah,
back.
It was like 8 back, right, going into the final round.
Yeah,
it's so sick of that happening to you.
When we were talking before we talked to Rist, who will be on at the end of the pod today, the sweating Colonial is not fun. Like Akshay was, I think, on Saturday around like 10-1. He was playing great on Saturday. He had gone like between Friday and Saturday, he had gone like 27 plus holes without a bogey. He was absolutely striping and putting it great, but he was also driving it not very good. And every drive, it's not fun to, I mean, it's fun to watch purely from a carnage standpoint, but if you want your guy to play good, it's so stressful to watch because the fairways are so narrow. Every hole has some sort of dog leg or like shit you got to watch out for and firm that off the tee, unless you're perfect, you're working hard immediately every single time.
I'm gonna say it didn't get like Saturday afternoon was cooking and a little bit late Sunday. A super windy Colonial is one of my favorite watches of the year, and we haven't really gotten that recently. But like when it's really cooking around Colonial, it is a great watch, carnage wise.
I think they should do this for the Open as well. But they should just look ahead on the calendar, get out, ask the AI, get the almanacs out, and find
like go to the meeting like you did.
Yeah, go to the secret VC meeting in New York that's got the secret weather models. Go there and find out when it's going to be windiest at Colonial and get it on the major calendar. Because I'd take a PGA Championship at Colonial. Why not?
Why not? If you can host the PGA Championship at Quail, put it at Colonial because you can it brings the entire field in.
Anyone can win.
The entire field's not in at Quail. The entire field's in at Colonial. I'm down. We have so many good ideas.
When I was watching, I was just anytime the winning score of a golf tournament is minus 15 or below, it should at least be considered for a major. That should be the rule. If you can keep your winning score of professional golfers under 15-1 or under minus 15 in your regular tour stop, consider it.
Do we give Ben Griffin a major? Do we take away Xander's Valhalla major?
No, I don't think we can do that yet. But if a few more things from BG, and we might have to put it under consideration.
Okay.
BG in the final round lost a stroke and a half ball striking, but just scrambled.
His around the green play was insane. He had a few chips where I thought he was absolutely dead because of like poor wind judgments, into the green. I was like, all right, he's dead. And even like his bunker shot on 8, so good. He put it to like 10 feet, 8 feet, and made that putt. And then he had another one where Dottie was like, he's got to take this one sky high and land it super soft. He just landed in the perfect spot and released it like 3 feet. I'm like, these guys' hands are insane out of some dicey spots. So BG's got the tools.
And then BG afterwards, it was a great clip. Go check it out if you haven't seen it. He got emotional because they asked him about his scrambling this week, and he said he scrambles so good because he grew up, basically his family didn't have a lot of money, so he spent most of his time practicing his short game, and he's always been super confident in his short game ever since. Beautiful moment. Great to see just the story. And go listen to the pod when we talked to him a little bit about it. Like, the man gave up the game. He thought he couldn't do it, and now he's probably exceeded heights that he ever thought was imaginable. And I truly think the sky's the limit. We talk about sky's the limit. We talk about floodgates. He's a legitimate floodgate candidate, in my opinion. We'll have to get him back on the pod. We'll get him back on the pod at some point this year. You saw him out there the next week at Truist. He said, I need to come on the pod every week. We'll get him back out here. Shout out BG. It was great to see another friend of the pod who's a generational scrambler and generational parsman, 27 of 30 up and downs, Bud Colley, another top 5 finish for Bud.
Yeah, I mean, what a year for Bud. What a resurgence for Bud. And can't say we didn't see it coming. Like, we've been high on Bud for a while this year. When we saw him outstripe everyone at TPC Sawgrass. So yeah, shout out Bud, just playing amazing golf. You get Bud on a course that requires precision and not the most distance ever, he can play well.
Generational Parsman National Open champion Bobby Mack with a T6 also. That makes sense.
And he had a bit of a rough Friday because he got off to a good start on a rough Friday, and then he really had a nice setup for Saturday and then a decent Sunday.
You get a firm golf course. Give me Bob Mack.
Bobby Mack defense season around the corner. This is a good week for him to.
They're disrespecting him by going to TPC Toronto though for the Canadian Open. That's not right.
Yeah, not right at all. Also not near Toronto. I heard it's like an hour and a half north of Toronto.
Okay, factor that in. The further north it is, probably the better for Bob Mack. Also, I need to send you a picture I took. I was walking by a liquor store today, and they had a full map of every distillery in Scotland.
That's the stuff that we need. Yeah, that's super Vince.
I'll send that over. Here's the thing. This is what I want to talk about. Tommy needs to come on the pod. We should sell a spot. If we can turn Tommy's life around in the way that we did for BG, he comes on the pod this Wednesday. He wins Memorial. He probably picks up the US Open, maybe wins the Open. Why wouldn't he pay us like $250K to come on the pod and we fix Tommy? Because you were on him in the without, but then he actually had to win. So did you regret the without? Because there was no without Scottie because Scottie couldn't make any putts this week. It ended up not mattering. He then needed to win, and because of that, he had no chance. But you had him at 20-1. What's the state of the union as a Tommy better last week?
I'll address both. I think this was definitely my worst use of the without. This is now 4 withouts of the year. I would say 3 of them were good withouts. This one was, they're not always going to be good. Obviously, considering it this week too. So I'm 3 for 4 on the without usages, I would say.
And you again, for the listener, you're claiming the usage success if Scottie wins or when Ludvig won, and you had it.
Correct. Yeah. So I would say 3 out of 4 good without market selections. Tommy, obviously played good, got off to a good start, was playing steady golf, very Tommy, just doing nothing crazy, nothing horrible, just around T10 all week. Sunday, he started making his charge, birdie to start like everyone else, and then he chipped in on 9, went out 4 under, which is like the best round of the day. Got within, I think at the time it was 4, made a nice par on 10, and then 11, par 5, the last real opportunity before you get into a few wedges down the stretch on 17 and 18. Obviously, he bogeys it, and I think he probably looked at a leaderboard, saw he was T2 or T3, whatever he was at that point, and then he had to make that bogey. He ended up having to lay up, give himself like 145, which was to a flag that was not really gettable. Just put in the middle of the green and 2-putt. He blasts it through the green in the bunker and hits a super soft bunker shot because it would have went into the woods if it would have went over. And it just don't look at a leaderboard, Tommy, or think every hole is a 72nd hole. You have to pick two options, and he didn't pick the right option. I was not surprised at all. I just rolling the punches.
Did he birdie 18?
Yes, he birdied 18, and I tweeted it on hole 11. I said, I'll bring the tweet up because the flow chart is extremely on brand for Tommy. So I tweeted this on hole 11 after he bogeyed the par 5. Get into the mix, look at a leaderboard. Get into the mix, look at a leaderboard, bogey a par 5, lose all chance, birdie 18 for a backdoor T2, ended up being a T3, T4. Tommy lad. It happens every single week, almost, and his birdie on 18 was so on brand. Someone actually texted me on 72nd hole. They bet Tommy Fleetwood birdie plus 600, and it hit.
So that's the best. That's how you should play Tommy. Don't bet Tommy to win the tournament. And this is just general advice, not just for you. You should just bet him hole 18 final round birdie. That's the most profitable bet up there with BRT.
Yeah, I will say. So it's at PGA Tour Pro Dice. DM me on Twitter before it happened. So shout out you. Your name is John DeForio. What a bet! What a call! I might have to be on that every single week now.
That should be minus 200.
Yeah, it was. I think he got it up plus. I'll look right now. Plus 500. Tommy Fleetwood birdie or better round 4 hole 18.
That's how you play Tommy. The next guy is Scottie, and I think we'll just tie this into Memorial, tied into the without conversation, because at the end of the day, Muirfield Village, ball striking champions. It's not complicated. I wrote up on the site, when you just look at the incoming spike ball striking form, it stands out as clear as day. Not a rocket science course. We do have a longtime friend of the program, Ben, who's a member out there, who sent me some notes just out on how the course was playing. It's been raining. It actually kind of feels like a quail setup a little bit, where the rough is a little lusher than it has been. It's always lush out at Muirfield Village, but more lush than usual. Slight softness in the fairways, a bit not like slow by any means, but a little bit softness. And then the greens, the sub air, even though it's been wet, they'll be firm. So it kind of reminded me of the quail sounding setup again, which would only lead me more towards total driving and approach play. Around the greens is a guessing game, a luck box. So I don't think there's a lot we need to talk about from what it takes to win at Muirfield Village. Do you disagree with any of those things that we're after this week?
No, I think this, and very similar to Bay Hill. I know we may have different Bay Hill thoughts, but I think this is just a very stern ball striking. See the green, go for it, and it's not. This is the site of the worst speed of all time with you on Scottie a few years ago, and also off topic, but I'm playing Middle Bay this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, so we were at Middle Bay, I believe, when you were sweating that Scottie backdoor almost win. And Vic won. So, yeah, just the green. You want the ball striking. You want it all.
And speaking of Bay Hill, Scottie last year, Vic the year before, and then Billy Ho the year before that. And shout out Billy Ho. Get better soon. A shame that Billy Ho isn't at Muirfield this week. Scottie won at Bay Hill that year. Vic was T10 and Billy was T2. So the last 3 years at Bay Hill, top 10, then coming and winning at Muirfield Village. The 3 wins before that didn't play Bay Hill, because Pat never used to play Bay Hill back in the day, and Rom didn't either. The year before that, when Bryson won, second at Bay Hill. So wow. of the last four of the last 7 winners have only played Bay Hill, and they've all finished T10 or better with 2 seconds and a win. So just backing up your Bay Hill connection there. And yeah, I love it. I think it makes sense. And that leads to Scottie, because I didn't have the winner, but I didn't go to the without market last week. I couldn't get there. I just felt like, because Colonial let so many guys into the mix, that, yeah, Scottie had a great chance of winning. I even mentioned that Vincent, when he had first run the numbers, wasn't as crazy high on Scottie as he had been.
Vincent is dialed with that
stuff. At the Byron. This week, Vincent is much higher on Scottie than I would say, not than average. Everybody's high on Scottie this week, but bumped up a little bit. To me, because I had that famous terrible beat when he had the greatest ball striking performance in golf history and lost to Vic and Denny McCarthy. He wins last year. Collin challenged him, but ultimately Scottie was ahead the whole time. He just won at Quail, beat all these guys easily. This week, to me, he's more likely to win than he was last week, basically. And he was
Yeah.
very likely to win last week.
Damn, this makes me really. I wish this kind of was leading into the U.S. Open, because sweating this on Sunday with you was really fun last year. Because I want that. So hopefully we'll get a good sweat at the Canadian Open. But yeah, I would say I'm definitely scared, and I'm probably gonna go to that market again without, because
I think I decided that I will never. I'm never doing the without, but I would consider betting Scottie. He's 3-1 right now. I'm very, very, very unlikely to do this, but I'm basically, if I was stack ranking which of the actions I would be most likely to take, least likely, never going to happen is the without. I would consider a Scottie bet, but I maybe most would consider the dual forecast, BK's famous bet. If I really think Scottie's going to win that much, and I think I know who can finish second place, why wouldn't I put them together?
Wrist actually asked me to run the numbers on what was more profitable, betting dual forecast Scottie or betting in the without market.
It's got to be. If you think Scottie, if you're willing to bet the without because you think Scottie's going to win, it has to be the dual forecast. I mean, I'm saying it's more profitable. I'm just saying, like, logically, that would be the action.
Yes, I agree with you. And the good thing about the dual forecast is you can get more names. You can get a bigger card, but it gives you the going to the without gives you, I guess, 2 routes to win.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I'm saying? That's the
drawback.
But I'm just saying, if you're betting the without because in your heart you believe that Scottie is more likely to win than the odds currently reflect, because he's 3-1. If you think it's 50-50 chance, that Scottie wins, and because of that you want to bet the without, you're going to get more value in the...
and you're going to get more names too. The only thing that would be horrible, what if I did dual forecast Ludvig at... I would have been... I don't know. That would probably be worse than a bad beat.
Right, but then I'm saying if...
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously...
There's give and take with both.
Yeah, and it's ultimately like from a card construction standpoint, because the odds of, let's say you want to bet Corey Connors this week. Yes, it's a better chance that he finishes just second, somebody else, or like he either wins or finishes second. Scottie gives you more like outs. But if you really truly believe deep down that Scottie is going to win, and that's all that matters, then like you should build off of that, in my opinion. And I do think, why wouldn't Scottie win?
Right. And there's no Rory. What if we did I did a little hybrid card, a little Scottie or 3-way hybrid, bet in any market, just put a different, how like sometimes on tours, like band tours, they put little symbols on which band's opening at a specific date. I did like a little key of, okay, this is in the without market, this is in the dual forecast market, this is in the normal market, and I did a little. I can get funky with that. Maybe we'll do that this week. Bet 3 different markets.
Scottie, the interesting thing about Scottie right now, I mean, he is just... How many golfers ever, if somebody knows this off the top of their head, please let me know, and you'd be an ultimate ball knower. The last 2 years at Memorial, last year Scottie gained 14 strokes on approach. The year before that, he gained 13 strokes on approach. How many golfers ever have gone to a golf? And the year before that, he gained 6, 7. How many players have ever gained over 12 strokes on approach at the same course 2 years in a row? That's a level of domination of a course and comfort and skill beyond the pale. It's unbelievable.
On the pale. Dude, that was sick. Maybe Tiger.
It's unbelievable. He comes to this course, and he just gained 12 on approach at the Byron. He striped his irons last week at Charles Schwab. He just can't putt for some reason at Colonial, and that's why he keeps finishing top 3 there.
Yeah.
Listen,
what else do we have to say?
Can do here.
Yeah. And he didn't even putt that bad at Colonial.
No, he was flat. And he's gained on these greens in 4 out of 5 starts. The only time he lost is when he lost 8 strokes putting when I had the worst beat of all time. He spiked in
every... You have 2 of the worst beats of all time. Glover at the Black D and this.
Scottie that week gained 20.8 strokes tee to green. The next closest guy was Si Woo, gaining 12. But because Scottie lost 8 strokes putting, he finished a stroke behind the playoff. He could have won if he was now putting. If it was this version of Scottie at putting, he would have won by almost 10.
Yeah,
and he could win by 10 this week.
Yeah, no. So I'm considering betting in 10 markets this week. Definitely take a look at the site to see where my mind goes. But yeah, hot take: Scottie makes sense around Memorial. I meant around Muirfield Village.
It's just, it really is unbelievable how good he is at golf. Like, I don't think we even I think I won't say I was more impressed by him finishing T4 at the Schwab than I was of winning the PGA and winning the Byron, but he wasn't even playing good. He's just so much better at golf than all of the other golfers that the worst he can, if he's even trying in any way, shape, or form, and he's usually trying, he finishes top 5 every time. Against a field like this, he can't hit shots bad enough to lose to more than he's not capable of doing it. No, he would have to intentionally play bad. That would be the only way.
Yeah. So yeah, I agree. I guess we'll have to see if he does that. I don't know. I don't think he's going to try to do that this week, but we'll see.
No, I don't think he will this week. I'm just saying against a field like the Schwab.
Oh yeah.
His margin of error is so narrow that he would have to play intentionally bad to lose to a good chunk of them over 72 holes. It's like statistically impossible. He's that good at golf that he's broken the math. But okay, let's hope that no matter how we decide to bet against Scottie this week, that it goes in our favor. Collin, he played good here last year. Always plays good here. I had him when he lost to Pat. He has not been playing good lately, though. And my thing was, when he came here last year, he was in a great stretch of form. He was playing great golf. He had played good at the PGA. He played good at the Schwab. He's not playing that good now. I'm not saying he's going to play bad. I don't think I'm going to be going to 16-1 on Collin this week.
Yeah, the number I did my write-ups for you, send them on the site, vincerics.com, before the odds came out. And I thought we would get a little bit of a break because of a T17, T50 with some poor results, but the course history speaks for itself. I mean, multiple runner-ups here, and then the workday week. So yeah, it's Collin around a golf course that he's played really good on, and I think the grinder thing helps him here a lot because Max got multiple T6s here. I wanted to get there, but I definitely can't do 16. I really can't.
If you could only bet one of JT or Pat, who would interest you the most?
JT. I actually wasn't considering him at all until I looked at the odds board and just thinking of hot incoming ball striking. And he's played well here before.
He never putts good here, and I worry about him off the tee a little bit. I'm intrigued by both, honestly. I think I would go back to Pat. Before Quail, where it's a major, you have to throw it away afterwards because Pat is deeply unserious at times when it comes to majors. Before that, he was striping as well as he has in his career, and now he comes to a spot where he always stripes. I'd be willing to give Pat another chance. Like, I'm not holding Quail against him, I guess. Is what
You're not. Okay, I was actually going to ask you your Pat take. I mean, I was kicking myself last year, or not last year, on that 2 years ago when I was betting Pat every week, that I didn't bet him in this event, and he played so well that he went in the water on like the easiest hole of all time a few years ago. But yeah, it's Pat on a golf course that is a Pat track. I expect him to be popular this week, and his number is, what is his betting number? 22.
22. Yeah.
There's worse bets to be made, I think. I do.
A player that I am giving up on, but I think you might be giving up on, or whatever the opposite of giving up on is, and I have a statistical reason for it to back up what we talked about on the pod last week, strokes gained caddy. That's Ludvig. I bet Lud here last year. He finished T5. But as we talked about on the PGA pod, or post PGA pod last week on the pod, his strokes gained caddy is deeply unserious right now. And when I looked in the stats, Jers, going into this tournament, Ludvig right now is 134th on tour in bogey avoidance. Last year, he was 23rd. And in his rookie season on the PGA Tour, he was 3rd on the PGA Tour. he's just playing unserious golf right now versus what he did in his first 2 seasons on the PGA Tour when it comes to keeping mistakes off of the scorecard.
Yeah, I did see that. I don't know if you saw a stat today. He's like third on the tour in proximity from the fairway and like 180th from proximity from the rough or something along those lines. I will say he won off of his 2 worst approach weeks, and he won off the worst approach week of his career. I don't think the approach play can get worse. I think the strokes gained caddy could be an issue, but I'm willing to go back to Ludvig. I've been okay betting Ludvig. My worst was at the Truist, but I've mixed with him like before. I think I'm stronger. I definitely am stronger on him than you are, and I might be strong enough to go to him at a course that is perfect for his game when he's at his prime, I would say.
I'm out, but if I was in, I would be open in something in the without, or I don't think he can beat Scottie right now. I would say that I don't see that from him. I just have a hard time saying why he was high 20s, 30s at the PGA, and I don't think he's more likely to win this week than he was then. And so it's hard for me to like get there from a number perspective. But would I be shocked if Ludvig played good? No, because he is for all the same reasons that I thought he could play good at the PGA, and he did for the first 9 holes. Is because I think it ultimately comes down to, and part of maybe where that rough stat comes from, in the second round at the PGA, he was blowing it miles off the planet right, where like you couldn't even have a chance to hit a good shot from. If he drives it in the fairway, then it becomes a strokes gained caddy question. But yeah, if he can hit it in the fairway, but I will say I'm good on Lud.
Before you go to the next guy, I want to quickly touch back on JT, a nugget that I just found. I was kind of looking while you're talking. He's gained putting in 6 straight events for the first time in his career. So obviously he hasn't put well here before, like you were saying, or hasn't consistently. That's something to a mega positive, because I remember how bad his putter has been the last 3 years. Like comedy bad. Obviously, he's finding himself the last 6 months, and I forget who tweeted something, but they said that JT found something. Yeah, he did. He won on the tour, and he's playing good golf and striping it beyond belief. But he's also found something on the greens too. So JT, I'm not out on.
Yeah, I worry about JT getting the ball in play off the tee.
Fair.
If the rough is more lush, like. Yeah, but I do think the putting, I'd be more hopeful in his putting this week than obviously the last few years here. But I do think, honestly, like I don't think I'm going to bet him. But Pat interests me the most up here. I know he did me wrong at Quail, but I think I would be open to Pat again up here. The next tier is interesting. A guy who is truly generationally striping right now and putting also the best in his career, and also has never putted good here, but usually stripes. Corey Connors. Would you be in on Corey? He's 33-1.
33. I don't know if I can get behind a 33-1 Corey Connors. I really don't. I cannot see him beating some big names down the stretch. And then without, he's going to be what 25. I don't think I can get there either.
Only one player this year with a top 10 at Bay Hill, Sawgrass, and the Masters, Corey Connors. So I agree that like I don't know how to like
Corey Connors T20 is a lock beyond locks.
Right. Like I don't know how to deploy Corey, but just all the numbers stand out for Corey this week. Between guys who are in a range of the board where from their win equity perspective would be curious, and they've both won here before, kind of both in not the best of form, but have had flashes this year. They both won this year. There's a lot of similarities actually here between Vic and Hideki. What are your thoughts there?
I was happy with Hideki's stat line. I think Hideki's a great DFS play this week. I think he's just sneaky enough, and he's got good form here. Vic, I'm already seeing a lot of buzz about. Makes sense, and he's in that number where like he's a 35-1 is like a number that's a popular bet. And he's finding it again. I mean, I bet Vic at the Truist around that 30-something range, and I felt like kind of like weird about it because he just was like 75-1 a few weeks before in a much weaker field. So I don't know if I want to go to it at that number, but I mean, technically it's a good number. And if I had strong feelings about it at the Truist, like, so why not do it again? He's under consideration.
That's fair. I think I would agree that I lean Vic there, and I'm intrigued by Vic this week. Some guys who have been striping, some guys who one of them has won, one of them mixed against the guy who won. Berger, Lowry, Straka, all in the 40s. All I think logically seem like Muirfield type of players. How would you power rank those three between Berger, Shane, and Sepp?
Berger's got it. Something wrong with the flat stick. Really wrong with the flat stick. He needs Bermuda bad. I think I'd be out on him for that reason, but he's hitting the ball really well. I would go Sepp there. I trust Sepp to just hit fairways more than anything, and then his middle iron game is strong. His long iron game is strong. So I would go Sepp there.
I think this too is like Sepp plays the best when you don't have to worry about around the greens. I don't think you need to worry about around the greens this week. I think it's one of those where if Sepp didn't just win the Truist at 45 to 1, you'd be like, oh, let me get Sepp on the card. But is he really going to win a third time this year? Maybe. He was T16 here in 2023 and T5 last year. He's gained putting in 5 of 6 events here. He's a bent specialist, as we saw at the Truist. If you can win the Truist, you can win here. I don't know if I can bet him, but I think I agree with you that Sepp is the most likely winner of that bunch for sure.
I agree.
Amongst these guys who aren't serious most of the time, Denny, Tony, Sam Burns now is unserious, unfortunately. Sungjae's become unserious, unfortunately. Russ, what happened to Russ? He won at Bay Hill. If we're looking for a Bay Hill comp, why wouldn't we be interested in Russ? He can't drive anymore. Yeah. He's played good here. He's got a couple of top 10s. Give me in the middle of the board. I've heard Finau's name a lot. Who is catching your eye from kind of the mid-range, the 50 to 80 range?
Yeah, I mean, Tone is showing the great signs. Like last few weeks has been doing good things, and this is definitely a golf course that makes sense for Tony Finau on paper. And I know it was the weather.
Isn't your take that he played good at the majors because he cares about golf and he won't care about this event?
Yeah, I'm not saying I'm gonna bet him, but if you're asking me like who like out of these guys I'd pick, it'd be Tone. And I think so. I went to Tone in the without market at Quail, and that probably was the first time I bet Tony in 3 years, maybe. I'm not like a Tony truther or guy, but I think he's doing the right things, and this is a golf course for him to finish top 10 on.
I'll go in the middle of the board. I don't think I would bet him to win, but I think Matt Fitz can continue his nice play. He's always played good here, and he comes in playing some of the best golf that he's played in quite some time. I don't see why Matt Fitz couldn't continue to play well this week. Keegan,
I don't know. It's Memorial Day weekend on the Jersey Shore. Who knows how much he took part of that?
True. Yeah, that's where we needed a boots report on the Jersey Shore. Would have been helpful for us. Keegan makes all the sense in the world. Never plays good here. I would be wrong no matter which way I go on Keegan. Mav, I'm upset with Mav and how he played last week. Norin.
They'll probably pair Mav with Keegan again. I feel like he's always playing with Keegan.
They need to pair BG with Keegan. Is who they need to pair with Keegan.
Yes, for sure.
Okay. We're down the board. We're into the 80s range. Before you give me a random Euro, let's save the random Euro for just a second. Any names down the board catching your eye early around triple digit odds?
Justin Rose. I think that's the first time I really like.
So do you count that as your random Euro of the week?
Yeah, sure. I'll throw him in there as my random Euro of the week because I feel like he's a little bit forgotten, and people like him in the majors, especially after like one good major week, then he gets popular. He's been in public saying that he cares about the majors. He wants another major, but this is a week that carries a lot of weight, and I feel like he will be geared up to play really well this week. It's been the putter that's been doing him wrong, and we know Rose can putt.
If you want signs that somebody doesn't care about events,
look at Justin Rose.
Look at his putting stats. He has been mailing it in the last few weeks on the greens, but he's also shown the ability when he does care to instantly putt good. So it really just depends on, I think I would lean towards this being he's missed the cut here the last few times he's played. I don't know if I like, it's hard. It's ultimately, do you think Rose cares? And you're voting yes. Do you think Rose cares?
Yeah, I do. Okay.
That's fair. Okay. So that's your random Euro of the week. My random Euro of the week this week it's tough for me to not say Ryan Fox. It's why couldn't Ryan Fox? He's played here before. He was T30 here in 2023.
Really?
Ryan Fox has reps.
Ryan Fox's reps. That's a unique sentence. I like that.
Ryan Gerard. Why couldn't Gerard strip again?
Dude, long course specialist. I'm down for Gerard. He needs Bermuda though.
Yes, he does. But yeah, he won't putt good. But Gerard top 20 again. You follow in the footsteps of his PGA performance.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you played
also
good,
Pavone T20,
and that was ties into what I was going to say. If you played good at Quail a few weeks ago, I would expect you to be
BG.
Somewhat of interest for
BG
me.
could be live fave
Every time he tees it up.
Yeah.
Davey T can play good here.
He should play definitely. Good. I don't love what he's doing of late, but this is a Davey T golf course for him to randomly pop.
He was T27 last year, gaining 4 on approach. And if you can get a course where Davey T gains on approach, interesting.
He has not gained on approach since the Masters, where he went 7 strokes, 6 strokes. Houston Masters has lost in 4 straight, but he's done that. He already did that this year. He had a stretch this year from the RSM to the Waste Management where he lost on approach. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight events, and then he went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight green. So he's streaky in both directions. Hopefully, he can find it.
I also think for Davey T, it comes from he aims at the pin every time. And so if he's not dialed, then he can lose a lot of strokes on approach because it can turn sour on him in a hurry. Nick Dunn, 750 to 1 on Bet Online. Tough scene for Nick. He was T12 last year. This was a moment where in front of Jack, he showed them that his record was in jeopardy. Yeah. He showed them that he's a serious threat. Wrist is coming on in just a second. And it's just every time I see his odds, I look at his stats. It's just really tough. It's just really, really tough.
Real tough. Yeah.
I bet Bridgman last week. That was unserious.
Well, I'm never going to fault you for betting Bridgman because he can gain 15 strokes putting anyway.
Right, exactly.
The ball striking does not matter.
Yeah. Good logic, bad pick.
Yeah, can happen. You should have picked Matty Schmidt. Like you should have known.
If you're off the Collie train this year, don't jump off now. He can easily top 10 again here. He could win.
Yeah. Okay, you can't win. Too
long. With that, these aren't just the only events this week. It's not just Colonial Jers. It's not just the Austrian Alpine Open on the slopes and outside of Vienna.
Slopes.
It's the U.S. Women's Open at Erin Hills. You're about to listen to Wrist. He's going to finish off with some golf swing tips as well. Wrist, a man of the people, a man of many talents. Some people say the most interesting man in the world. He's coming up next, Jers. Before we go to Wrist, anything else for the people?
No, thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for supporting. Some crazy weeks ahead. U.S. Open around the corner. Open Championship just after that. So thank you for listening. Enjoy Wrists.
Yep. And as always, $9.99 for the weekly, $34.99 for the monthly over on the site. Like and subscribe on YouTube or your favorite podcast network if you're so inclined. We really do appreciate it. As Jers said, Boots Pittsburgh, Boots Oakmont on the horizon, Northern Ireland on the horizon. We're really looking forward to it. We'll continue to do our best to give you guys the best information that we can. Thanks so much. And here is some great information with Mr. Extended Wrists. All right. The pod continues on because it's the U.S. Women's Open. And, of course, we had the great Extended Wrists on with us for the Chevron a few weeks ago, or about a month ago. And on that pod, Mr. Wrist, you told us that the U.S. Women's Open is the crown jewel of the women's major season, the one that you consider the best, the one that you consider if you could only win one women's major, you would pick this one. How are you feeling going into this week? Are you as hyped as I would think based on what you told us last time about the U.S. Women's Open, generally speaking?
For the event, absolutely. Definitely one to be excited about. We get Shot Tracker. That's going to be that's good. I don't know if it's going to be on the gambling apps or if it's just going to be on the USGA website, but we are going to be get strokes gain data, so that's good. So I'm starting with the positives. Erin Hills, I think we were both all of us were a little lukewarm on how it might be. I've seen some of how the course is looking. I think we focus on the fact that it's the U.S. Women's Open. Don't really focus that it's at Erin Hills.
And we were chatting briefly before we started here, and you're coming off a bachelor's party, 4 days. You said this is your Jordan flu game, which actually gave me some inspiration. I'm actually feeling good since we know what the Jordan flu game was. So I'm expecting good things today, despite you may not be at 100%.
I may not be at 100% right now, but maybe by the time the card is made on Wednesday, I can promise the viewers that.
And you're rocking a Malbon tee. This is a true embrace of the keys to the pot. That looks good.
That's true, and we might be playing a Malbon player this week.
Ooh. There's definitely a few of them that catch my eye on a weekly basis via Instagram. So I'm all the way in on that.
Yeah, for the listeners only listening on the pod, Wrist has a T-shirt with the Malbon little golf ball guy with is that a headband or a beanie?
It's a little tennis sweatband. So we got the tennis crossover for the French Open.
Ooh,
it's Prince. That's right.
French Open, it's underway. Famously, the French Open was what Jers and I were sweating while driving to Pine, Zverev versus Carlos, and that is also when Sebastian Soderberg missed the 1-foot putt to lose to Lynn Grant, who's I would assume is this week at the U.S. Women's Open.
In the field this week, 100-1.
Okay, she never wins though on the LPGA. She only wins the Scandinavian mixed.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Okay. All right, let's get into it.
Better this week, though.
Erin Hills, $12 million purse, I believe I saw when doing a little research ahead of the event. Erin Hills, we saw, what year was that? 2016 that Brooks?
17, I think.
17?
Adam, you should know this because it was your guy Brooks who won in 2017.
And it was also fresh off of Chambers Bay, which was a home game for me, because I think that was either the year prior. So I should actually know that better. But we saw it then. The leaderboard on the men's side obviously was very interesting. We had Brooks. I believe Brian Harman was up there. That was the one major that Brian Harman played good in before he won the Open. That was the first time I ever heard of Xander Schauffele, I believe, as well. Big ballpark, as far as I remember. I've played it a few times on Xbox as well since then. How do you think it's going to play? Do you think it's going to play similar to how it played for the men's? Do you see it playing entirely different, somewhere in the middle? How are you thinking about that as the women go there this week?
This is where it's tricky, and I've been putting it in the write-ups sort of weekly, is the LPGA, how they say the expected yardage to be is not always the truth. I hope that we can have a bit more faith in the USGA and make it a test, because it's listed at 68.50, which I think would make it the second longest course on tour this year. But if things get funky and they put it down to 6,400, then, I mean, who knows? The whole handicapping strategy might go out the window. But I think we got to take the USGA at the word that it's going to play long. It's going to play long. And unfortunately, I think it's going to play pretty similarly to Chevron.
So Bomber City, but keep it.
I think it's off the tee play. I was looking at the weather. I think there's a slight PM AM wave split. The wind looks like it kicks up Friday afternoon. But I think that those fairways are pretty big. It's a full links kind of course. I think bent greens. So I think now, we're at the end of May, they should be getting pretty speedy, but I don't think we're going to see like the proper Northeast June, July speedy bent greens.
And coming here, you just mentioned Chevron and how that played. I think the winning score, where did that end up? Like it was 7, but that's because 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was hard to remember what even was happening down the stretch there. That was my first time.
Your mic, you got to plug your mic back in. It came on down a little bit, but we move on. Yeah. A little keep talking. All right. Well, we're talking about the Chevron. Adam's unplugging his mic, but I remember that after you came on, it was a wild finish. And how many was that? Like 5 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago? That wasn't even that long. 5 weeks ago.
So 4 or 5 weeks ago, but 5 women in it in the playoff.
Yes, that was, and you had the live ad. She had a great Sunday charge, and then it all came undone on the 18th green. That was SportsCenter was covering that. That was the most LPGA coverage I think I've ever seen. It was a crazy finish.
Yeah, no, I mean, as a sports betting fan, or as a sports fan, it was fantastic. As someone who had some skin in the game, it was like a horrible feeling. But yeah, I might run that 5 woman playoff. I might run that back as my card. I need to check
just those girls,
but just those 5. I think that actually would maybe be like an 8 or 9x card, and it would be super sweet.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you sound great.
I'm back. All right, good.
Yeah, back.
Yeah, that would actually be sick. That's a sick just like strategy, going to the 5 who lost.
Don't overthink it.
If you think it's the same as Chevron, why not? You know?
Well, okay. And so I know I sound a little bit memey, which sometimes does work on this podcast, but I was looking at Erin Hills, and the course designer is Dana Fry. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
No.
He's done quite a few courses in Canada, and he's done quite a few courses in Canada. He did Arcadia Bluffs in Michigan. I know a lot of people go there for golf trips. But he also did the course for, I think it's Quizong Gardens in Shanghai. And when I looked at this, I've written this up in the Discord that the biggest correlation or the biggest correlating event is Quizong Gardens and Chevron. So, and the same designer from Quizong Deserts is Dana Fry. So maybe we do have the Chevron link mixed in with the Shanghai event.
I like the sounds of that. And the natural next question to that would be, who played well at both of those events? Or when was
Ronnie? I think Ronnie was first at Shanghai. Saigo was second. Me and Matt's girls, SY Kim was she was second last year. I think that was the top 3. Maybe Yelami No was 4th, but she didn't play great at Chevron.
You'll get that dialed for us on the site, and you'll let us know who kind of fits both courses. Obviously, up on the site each week, you've got the course preview, then some just general player thoughts, some leans on usually people from the top of the board, and then obviously your betting card. At the top of the board this week, only book that I could find with odds at this point. This is Monday evening we're recording. Bet365. Is it anywhere else have the odds out yet that you've seen?
Not that I've seen.
Okay. And anybody's in single bullet territory this week. It appears Gino 9-1, Nelly's 14-1. That's kind of the clear top 2 on the board. Obviously, the top 2 in the game at the moment on the LPGA side. Is there going to be any interest in the top of the board? Do you have a lean if you could only pick one between Gino and Nelly? What are you thinking
there? Well, would you guys bet anyone to win their first major at single digits?
I don't think so. I think you're correct.
I think that. And then Nelly has 2 top 10 finishes, I think, in 12 appearances at the US Open. I don't know. No.
Is she an easy course merchant?
She actually does play decent on longer, harder courses, but those just tend to be the courses in Florida. She might, I don't know. If one of those 2 win, it's going to be great. Like you guys said, it'll be on SportsCenter, it'll get coverage, but I'm not going to be there.
Was it last year that Nelly made like a 10? On a part 3.
Yeah.
That was where was that?
Was the 3rd hole.
Was that Congressional?
No,
Lancaster.
Lancaster. Yeah. That's right. That course was sick. That was so sick.
And this is where, and Matt and I have talked many times, we're trying to remember the players. We're trying to remember the nicknames. We're trying to know who's who. We're trying to stay up on it a weekly basis. Ronnie is Ronnie Yin, right? At 18-1. And that was the one who let us down on the 18th green. Or who is,
yes.
Am I right?
Yeah. Yes, you're right there.
Okay.
And yes, she is the one that let us down. But that's interesting that she's at 18, because when I checked this morning, she was 22. So that's something to monitor, I think.
So when the most tipped women's chart comes out, which also it now exists, it pops up. I don't think I follow it, but it does show up on my feed. Like when I'm on Twitter, I pop in there.
They send it in the Discord too, like every few weeks. They send it in the Discord. Vince should take charge of setting the LPGA chart. That might be something we have to do, because you're claiming that Ronnie's already gone down from 22 to 18. So she may be popular this week. She obviously was the one who let us down on the 18th green after a generational long wood into 18 and then 3-putted. Ronnie's 18. Jin Young Ko is 20. Minji's 22. Rio Takeda also 22. That next tier, just at the edge of the range of despair. Obviously, Ronnie's the experienced Chevron would fit what you're talking about. Any of those other ones jumping out?
Minji's been playing a little bit better. I think she had a top 10 a couple weeks ago. I can check right here, but she won at Pine Needles in 2022. Her game's starting to get a little bit better. It wasn't that long ago that we were seeing Minji go off in big events at like 10 to 12, and it seems like her putting's getting better. She had a really, really nice putting performance, I think, at Lake Nona earlier this year. And I think that, I don't think her iron play is really going away, but did you guys watch the US Women's Open last year?
I clipped bits and pieces. There was a lot of highlights on the Golf Channel and on SportsCenter, even because the girls were ejecting at an absurd rate.
Yeah, well, that is the thing about the U.S. Women's Open. Like, it reminds me of the U.S. Open from the 90s. Like, ejections, randomness happens. And Minjee, she got bit by it last year. Like, she should have won that thing. I think she was live, like, minus, like, 1,200.
Oh, my God.
On Sunday.
Ryan Fox territory.
Yeah. So that might keep me away from it, but I can understand. Like, I could get there. And I don't think it's a bad bet.
Where's Lydia?
Would she be like 25-30? I don't have the odds.
I'm saying I don't see her on the odds board.
What?
Let's see.
Do we have?
She is 22-1 on Bet365. 22-1.
Why?
Yeah.
What is going on here?
Yep, she's behind Jin Young Ko in between next to Minjee and Takeda. So she's like fifth and sixth favorite.
Okay. Well, I still don't know why I can't see it because I'm looking at the exact same. Maybe I'm not allowed to bet Lydia this week. That I might be banned from betting Lydia. But would we consider Lydia? Because when I was just thinking about Erin, I don't know why. Obviously, I'm far from an expert on the women's game. Lydia came to my head this week. And if she's in the 20s, that sounds interesting. Would you talk me out of that, or is that reasonable?
I mean, this would be a career Grand Slam if Lydia wins this week.
Wow.
So do you really want to miss that?
And does she struggle on longer courses? Because in my mind, she's a shorter hitter, but I don't know how true that is. This is why you're here.
Well, I think that was the issue that we happened at the men's game. I think that's why it'll be good to try to see what, the little Instagram clips we get, even when they play like 9 holes in 90 seconds, you can kind of get quite a bit from that. And see if the ball is chasing out, if it's running and playing firm and fast. And if the tees are up, then yeah, I mean, I'd be down for Lydia. But if it's playing kind of soft, and I don't think we're supposed to get any rain, but if it is playing soft, I think 6,800 is too long for her, especially there's no elevation and like they're just outside Milwaukee, right? No.
Yeah. Can confirm.
This is the most important question of the pod, because after the meltdown at the Chevron, Matt and I were trying to pronounce the lady's name who had the lead there, and I famously turned.
Do you want to try?
No, I did. If you want to go back and listen to, that would have been, I can't remember which week that was, but the post Chevron pod, I did try. So if you're a listener, you want to hear me try to pronounce this name, go back to there. Matt didn't even try. How do we pronounce it?
Okay, well, there's a process. If you go to the LPGA website, they actually have a pronunciation guide, so you don't need to feel bad because you're not the only one that's had that problem.
But I should feel bad because I could have gone to the pronunciation guide before the pod, and so it could go either way.
It could go either way, but area Jatanagarn.
Jatanagarn. That's not.
Is she Thai?
I feel like that's common. Yeah, I feel like that's common with Thai names. They're kind of intimidating until you like say them phonetically, and that's not so bad.
Yeah, I just need to get in a rhythm, I think.
But
on a simple rhythm.
On Jatanagarn, she was posting this week. She's been grinding with Joe Mayo, so she doesn't want that chip shot to happen again. Which is maybe the best chip shot.
That's
ever.
dog.
Yeah.
For the record, I'm out on Joe Mayo and players who are connected to him, so that would actually be a negative for me.
I'm trying to think of who you don't like that Joe Mayo works with. Steve Stricker?
Sam Stevens?
It was just the full Vic experience last year. I couldn't watch the way he was like coaching Vic and how he could logically have thought that was going to help Vic play better golf. You know,
it had its moments.
It had its moments, but no, I'm out. But
it was tough to see in person. I will give you that. It was a real tough.
Well, he's getting multiple angles of Jatanagarn's chipping. But I will say, if anyone does go and look at the videos that he's posting of her, they're showing her chipping from short grass, not from the rough, which is where she had her problem. So maybe Joe, if you're listening, go focus on that.
I'm sure it is.
Because the next week after, or not the next week, didn't she was up there in her next start? Because I saw
almost won. Her form's been great.
Did she collapse again, or did she just not
I think that was at Black Desert, and she was. I think that was a Black Desert when I should look so I don't sound like
it was the Black Desert. All right, so so you're seeing Mayo chipping lessons. That's obviously what cost her the Chevron. Are you forgiving that performance? Would you consider her can she win this week, or does she have no chance?
No, she can win, and she needs to be in the card because if we're going with the 5-woman playoff card, she needs to be there. So we got to forgive her at that if she's 35-1.
So early word on
Is she 35 or 40?
35.
We'll get a 40 on her. That seems like
early. This is going to be released Tuesday morning. If you don't check out the site and you want the betting card, it is just the 5 women that didn't win the Chevron. So it's a simple game right there. Don't overthink it. But if you want to head to the site, get the rest of the information.
Go to Chevron, Wikipedia. It'll have the winner, and then next to it will say runner-up, and just grab all 5 of those ladies, toss them on the card. But there's some names in this 30-ish range that'll be familiar to people. Charlie Hull. Was it 2 years ago that she mixed at Pebble? What was the year that she was right up there?
at Pebble? That's right.
Okay, because I remember that.
Team Melbourne.
And I'm out.
Well, that could be her or Coughlin at 35. So you're out. Would you give Coughlin a chance? I know you're a Coughlin better. I see her on the card.
I would give her a chance. She's played good at Chevron, but she didn't make how close? No, she played bad this year. But she's been hitting it nice. Maybe. We'll also have to see what the multiplier is after the.
Got to see the multiplier.
After the 501 card. But jokes aside, I think that she might be a little bit too short. But let's see what the wave split is like.
In general, I think we talked about it at the Chevron where you were saying such a big course, such a ball striking standard that not a lot of people have a chance. It was going to kind of shrinking the pool of contenders, taking out the fact that you're just going to bet the all playoff card. If you weren't doing that, if you're starting from scratch this week, do you feel like you have to be going to the top of the board, or can we fire some long shots this week?
No, I think we could fire long shots and pluck off some names of people who are bombers, like Austin Kim. I don't know what her number is, but she's like second on the tour in driving distance. We could, and she's been playing Austin AUSTO.
I got her 140 to 1. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think so. And then Lynn Grant, I think she finished 4th last week, and so she's 100 to 1. So that is like. I mean, we would be.
Lynn Grant, though, would be distracted by the fact the Scandi Mix is coming up soon.
Well, they canceled the tournament.
Oh.
It's Functus.
What?
It's Functus, yeah. So she is the last.
Canceled?
She's the last forever, the last winner of the Scandi Mixed.
We're shutting the site down. Shut down the pod. There's no point of doing it.
I thought you guys were going to sponsor it.
If I would have known that it was in danger, I would have done everything I could to keep it alive. This is terrible news. This has ruined the pod. This is going to be probably like an hour 40 in for people who are listening to the pod. I'm sorry. Horrible news.
This is comparable, like a reaction to the Keegan news we got when we were live podding. This is worse though. This
is way worse. I don't get the point of following the DP anymore. But okay, that's good to know though, because I've been out on Lynn Grant on the LPGA because I think she's only focused on winning the Scandi Mixed. But if it's canceled, she needs to have a new mission in life, and that might be to win the U.S. Women's Open. While I was looking for Austin Wood down here at 140, or Austin Kim, sorry, at 140 to 1, didn't Yuka win last year?
I think we have to talk about Yuka because her recent form is amazing. I think it's like 5 missed cuts. I don't think she made it out of the group stages at the match play. Well, I know she didn't. I don't know when was the last time she made a miscut. And she's always placed in these premier groups, like on Thursday, Friday, because she's the defending U.S. Women's Open champion. So, and she's getting beat by like 10 shots. She'll play with Nelly and Gino.
She have 2 majors?
She's 78. Yeah, she won the 21. The 21 U.S. Open and then the 24.
At Olympic Club, right? San Francisco.
Yeah.
Home game.
Yeah, there you go. So she might have to be on like at 140. Like I don't know.
It's almost too long of odds where it's like so obvious that she has no chance. But if she won back-to-back Women's U.S. Opens and was 140 to 1, it would be one of the biggest misses from a betting perspective that it's ever been discussed on this show, right?
Yeah, definitely.
How often is the defending champ of any tournament, whether it's the LPGA, the DP, the PGA Tour, 140 to 1? Except Peter Malnati.
That's like Matt Every, yeah.
Matt Every.
And Malnati at Valspar, where he's 400 to 1.
Going for the 3-peat.
Okay. And then the other one I saw down here, who I always jumps out to me because I don't watch enough LPGA golf. So when I do, the people who play well that week really stick in my brain. And I think it was the U.S. The Women's Open, the Pure Women's Open, where Ashley Buhai played really good and may have won.
She did win. I can confirm she did win.
Okay. She is at Muirfield, right?
At Muirfield.
That's a serious win. So she's 150 to 1. She won at Muirfield. Why aren't we betting her?
I think she hits it a bit too short, but who I would be interested in is the player that she beat in that playoff, Inji Chun. She's won 4 events on the LPGA Tour. 3 of them are majors. They're all different majors. And she's a bomber. She's a striker. I think, she's like 350, 400. That would be... I think we could fit her on the card.
400 to 1, she's 3 majors?
Yeah. 2 years ago.
What are we doing? What are we doing?
How many majors is Scottie? She's as good at golf as Scottie, and she's 350 to 1.
Right. And she's closer to the ground because Scottie has those 2 masters, and people are saying he might be a bit of a course merchant, whereas Inji does it everywhere.
We have talked about a random Euro of the Week in Lynn Grant, but Nata Course Matson is 141. I haven't seen her up there as often as she was at the beginning of the year. Who, from a random Euro of the Week perspective, do we need to be on the lookout for?
I don't know if I fully understand the rules of random Euro of the Week, but
There's
maybe
no
you can
rules.
tell me. Okay, because this person has no nationality officially.
Okay.
This
has never happened before, but this is perfect.
Okay. Natalia Guseva, she is formerly she is Russian. She lives in Florida. She's a bomber. She was mixing last week for a bit on Saturday. Really, really good iron player. Terrible at chipping. Like visually, she should be working with Mayo probably. But I think that she could do it. And she plays these big long courses as well. And I'm guessing she's probably like 150, 140.
How do you spell her name?
Guseva, I think.
EVA.
And so does she not have a flag next to her name?
No flag. Yeah.
There's
160 to 1.
I see her now. Here's what happened. When I couldn't see Lydia and the rest of the golfers, I only was looking at 2 of the 3 columns on Bet365.
Makes sense.
But now I can see them all, which actually includes some players near the top of the board who I didn't say because I couldn't see them. But somebody popped up here while this was popping. Oh, Lilia Vu's 90. She's a name that jumps out. Brooke Henderson. Those are at least names that I recognize. Yeah. They're 90 to 1.
Brooke will finish T9. That's my lock of the week.
I think you're right, Matt. I think that she just can't really put 4 rounds together at an elite level, and her game's just a little bit loose. I'm not done with Brooke, but I just need a bit of a break. Well, I think she's going to find it in Asia this fall.
What's our girl Alim Kim been up to?
She has a U.S. Women's Open win. She's been playing not great, but she still has the perfect fit in terms of being a bomber. So like I'm guessing she like 40 kind of thing.
Yes, she was 33 here on Bet.
I'm very excited for this card. I can't lie.
Oh, me
too. No, it could be the best thing or the worst thing.
What I was going to ask you was 2 questions about the same person. Then I can't remember her name, but she'll be on the card because she was in the playoff. She was the woman who never ever has mixed, but has like been on. She was like an experienced player, had never mixed, was right there in the mix at the Chevron. I know she'll be on the card because she was in the playoff, but were you shocked when she was in the mix? Give us the PGA Tour comparison to how you felt when she was in the mix at the Chevron, and then can she mix again this week?
So I'm just looking at her recent form going into the Chevron. She had a 5th in Arizona. She had a 12th in China. She had an 8th at Lowry, I think, which is Hawaii. So when you asked me, was I shocked? No, I was choked because she was going to be like my random bomb that I wanted to put on there. I know anyone can say that kind of posthumously, but she's been on cards. If you look in the Discord, she's been on cards in the past.
And that is, for the listeners, that's Lindy Duncan.
Lindy Duncan. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I should have said that. But no, and she's playing nice still. Like she played well. I think she has like a 12th or something like that at Black Desert. She's going on the card. She's like bomber. I think she's like 20th in driving distance. Yeah, 21st.
How's Sego, the Coachella act, performed since her win in that?
Run? I don't think she's played.
I don't love that.
No, I think,
she was T31 at the Black Desert. The Black Desert, by the way, they went low at the Black Desert.
Yeah, and I think that which is really weird because last week I didn't get to watch much of it, but it seemed like that course, beat them up pretty good.
Who
like the winning score? I wrote up that gal Chisato EY, and she won by like 6. So another Japanese rookie winning by 6. We should have been there.
They're studs.
Yeah,
they perform way better than the Japanese horses who are always hyped up in the Kentucky Derby.
That's not true. In the Kentucky Derby, you bet the Japanese horses at the Breeders' Cup, and you don't bet them. They falk at the Breeders' Cup. Mark that.
Are there any more big horse races coming up? Because I got goaded into. I don't know if I told you this, Matt, but I showed Adam that I got goaded into betting the Kentucky Derby, and I was using it as a way to get these players who were really cheap onto the card. So I was throwing $6 parlays with Bob McIntyre and Sovereignty. And so even though I lost that week, I only spent like an 1/8 of what I usually would have. So that was a win.
That is
Chris
a win.
Always sends great text, but when you sent over the Bob Mac Sovereignty parlay for the TPA, that was one of the best texts I've ever gotten. But okay, so to round it out, we've talked about a lot of the top of the board, some long shots. Any other names, any other people we should at least have under consideration if you're putting together a card for the U.S. Women's Open this week?
We didn't talk about Heiran Rue. Is she? I know that she was 18 this morning. I just checked.
She's 14 now. 14.
Okay, so she got hit. So she always plays great at the Chevron. She is probably playing the best in the world right now. She has a win recently. She won Black Desert. She was in the mix at the event at Liberty National before, at least for a little bit, maybe. I could be wrong about that. Anyway, she probably deserves to be there. I had said that I don't think she has the guts, that I think she's kind of a loser, despite being a generational striker. But I think she's maybe dunking on me a little bit here. She's a really good fit, and she would make a ton of sense to win. But the U.S. Women's Open it's a tournament where funky things happen, so you can get funky with your card.
I'm going to throw a nice little T20 on friend of the pod, 2,000 to 1 Dana Fall if it's firm. I don't know anything about her game, but I know she's a short hitter and can hit fairways and practices a lot in her house. But she's a Vinceric supporter, and I think she's the last lady in the field. So 2001 top 20 will be probably like 150 to 1, something like that. I'm in for that.
I think Bet365 offers top 20 markets.
Okay,
well, but maybe not top 40. Okay, Dana Fall. We need to write that down.
Yeah, she is almost last on the she's above Maria Fassi.
Okay, wait. She played good recently, I think.
Let's do it. I know Dana Fall.
How do you know her, Matt? Why is she friends with the pod?
Okay, so right. she
supports she listens to the same music as me, so we kind of bonded over that. And then I told her about Vincerics, and she supports Vincerics.
So in March, which is like 2 months ago, that's not that far away. She finished third in an event on the Epson Tour.
Epson Tour, yeah,
good enough for her.
Player.
See, there you go. That's if you can finish third at the Iowa Classic, you can definitely finish.
Everyone knows that.
US Open. Yeah,
everyone knows that.
That's correlation.
It's a common comp.
It's a common comp.
Okay, I got a 3 more names that jump out to me in the triple digits. And then I have a way more important question than anything that we've talked about so far. And it involves Jer's golf game. And you are his coach now. You are his Joe Mayo. And I want to get some feedback on how you think that's going. Patty T, 100. I'm always interested in Patty T. She'll probably be on my card. I'll have a separate few names on the card.
I like it. I mean, she's a long hitter. She fits the profile. Like, you know what? And she's a major winner. Like, what more do you need?
Don't overthink it.
And I always comp her to Jake Knapp now. So if Jake Knapp, and I think Jake Knapp would play.
Is it because they play together?
Yeah, they won together. So I have to factor.
And they won together independently in February when Jake Knapp won like in Mexico. She won in Thailand.
Okay. The same week.
February 2024.
And they won together
the same week in November. So
Jake Knapp might need to break up with his girlfriend now and get with Patty T.
I don't know if Vincerics is doing dating advice, but maybe you guys are always expanding.
We've given out some dating advice on the pod, maybe before, but that'd be interesting. They clearly teamed up well and had success together. It's always nice to see. Lexi, we talked about her last time on the pod. before the Chevron. And I said to you, I thought she was retired. You said she's playing better now that she isn't retired, but she still is retired. She then was in the mix for the first 3 rounds at the Chevron. She was up there. She was 125-1 again. What's State of the Union in the Lexi camp?
Well, this is what I'm saying. She's saying that she's grinding harder than ever. She's on the Freedom 27 club, or however old she is now, enjoying retirement, playing golf as she should. Like, she can't win, but she can like finish top 20, top 10.
Actually, I've got one more, and maybe one more after that. Maya Stark, Viking Cup. We'll probably have already talked about it. If you've listened this far into the pod, first of all, we always appreciate you. You're a true ball knower and a true friend of the pod, and we couldn't do it without you. But it was a huge week for the Viking Cup. We had a DP Viking winner. We had a Corn Ferry Viking winner. Do you think that could carry over, and do we need to consider Maya Stark because of that?
It's been a while since there's been a Viking winner on the LPGA.
We're due.
I think. Yeah, we're due. I'm just looking at Maya Stark's recent results here. 41 miscut, 54, and then 5th at T-Mobile, so not great.
What about
I think we better at Chevron.
Sagström?
250. Form also. Yeah, her form is also not great. Just
Didn't
looking at it here.
Weren't we on her?
Yeah, well, we were on her, and then she's been bad since then. So
okay,
I mean,
so we'll take you're a Sagström whisperer. I'm not going to try to step on your toes in the Sagström camp. I can't remember.
I bet her at Chevron, and she was terrible. So I don't know if I can say I'm the whisperer.
I mean, you hit somebody. What was it, 80-1? You whisper at that point.
You whisper
on them. Final person. This is who I saw earlier. Another name that I recognized. 200-1 Leona Maguire. Can Leona play good this week?
I mean, it would need to be really firm and fast. She's a short knocker. Like I think that, like, for all the jokes that I've made, I think really if you just want to go down to, and I've wrote this up on the site saying that the one thing I've seen this year that isn't really all that much fun, but it seems to be the case, is that the players who are stacking up top 10s are then winning. They're mixing, and I mean, it makes it sort of easy from a handicapping perspective, takes away some of the fun for us for trying to look for fits and profiles and trends. But I think that if you look at that and then you kind of sort by total driving with a emphasis on distance, that's kind of how you should look at it this week. And then look for the wave split. I think that could be a real thing.
That's good to know. We'll monitor. That's it. You'll have to share the right weather, the right wind tower in the Discord, so we know which one to be looking at. We'll add it to the article as well. Send me the link, or I can look it up too, and we'll get that up on the site. But I was going to say, like, a lot of your feedback when I threw out somebody down the board was kind of like went to their form immediately, and I was going to say it seems like you're really biasing towards just riding the hot hand, and if that's working.
Well, I mean, I can't say it's been working because I haven't been doing it in terms of how I've been betting my cards, but that's what I've seen has been happening is you see these players go on these mini little 3-4 week stretches. And so I think if you can pick someone that's trending and then, expect them to pop, it seems like that's been working this year. But I mean, I'm sort of stubborn and stick to my ways, so I probably won't do that.
Fair. If I just stuck with my guns, and we'll have already probably talked about this long before at this point of the pod, but I'm always not sticking by my guns and paying the price because of it. I think Ben Griffin was a perfect example of it for me this week. But yeah, the card will be up on the site. The write-up will be up on the site, available to all. They're up on the site. Riss does a great job every week, and we truly, truly appreciate the effort and the time because you take it so seriously. And at the end of the day, that's all we can ask for. And we appreciate you coming on. But the key question of the day is within the last how many weeks to months has it been since you've been providing swing tips to Matt?
Probably
Matt, do you want to answer this?
Probably 2 months. Yeah, maybe a little over 2 months. Started from
before we go too far, Adam, I don't want to be compared. If you're saying that you don't like Vic and Joe Mayo, I don't want to be the Mayo to Matt. That's here. Fair. Can you give me a better comp?
Well, I need to hear how Matt's playing.
Can I be Butch?
If somehow...
Can I be the Butch to Matt's Tiger?
I hope so. That's what I want that to be the case. I believe that to be the case. And I bring this up because just this weekend, Matt was posted on Instagram playing some golf. And if you're not following Matt on Instagram, obviously get over there and follow him. He's golfing he golfs more than anyone. And all I saw was his swing. I sent him a message immediately, said, that's looking good. Visually, his swing is looking dialed. But Matt, when I came on and asked you how you played, you've said you're not playing good right now. Are you in the like where are you at with your game so far?
I had a massive like coming to heart, and I talked to I think both of you guys about this. I felt to have a Justin Thomas problem. I feel like I can you tell me a shot to hit, I feel like I could hit that shot. You want me to draw a 7-iron, you want me to fade a 3-wood, you want me to do anything, I think I can do it, but I'm trying to do too much, and it's not working because you're never perfect on the golf course, one. But I'm as confident as I've ever been, but it's just not coming. It's not coming together right now. And I know it's a long game. We only started 2.5 months ago. It's only May 26th right now, and all summer we got all summer to play. But yeah, I'm feeling like it's gonna happen soon, but I'm not there yet. I hand up. I'm not playing good golf.
Well, and
we have high standards though. We said that we'd get you to break par by the U.S. Open. So we have 2.5 weeks
to break par or break 80.
Yeah, no, to break par.
That was if I would have known that was the goal.
No.
I would have supported it, but that's a big ask. But I'm not saying you couldn't do it. That just seems like a swing change could take a year to really come to fruition. I think that the timeline might have just been.
Matt's an athlete; he's natural.
What was because Matt, you've always had a very quirky looking swing, but since I've played golf with you over the last couple of years, you've progressively gotten better and better. Like it never looks visually like it jumps off the page, right, but the ball goes where you want it to go. You're a good driver. What risk was it in Matt's swing that you're working on solving? What are some of the foundational aspects?
It was pretty easy, I think. Matt was having a bit of issues with how he was turning his hips instead of
Scottie situation at the PGA.
Honestly, yeah. That's exactly what we were doing. We were getting him to straighten his right leg and then add some more flex to his left leg and sort of, I think I was saying that as much flex you lose in your right leg in the backswing, you gain it in your left leg, and they kind of move this isn't going to work good for a podcast. Sorry, guys. But gaining 2 inches of flex in the left leg, losing 2 inches of flex in the right leg, but still maintaining the same height with his head. So you're keeping that hip tilt, and that's given him more room. His club isn't overrunning as much. He's still a little bit laid off, but I think he's been able to shallow out. If I saw the same video, that's where he hit that high flush fade.
Same video. Yeah, you guys both set up on it. Yep.
Yeah.
But you're becoming a drawsman, Matt, and you're not sure if you can be a drawsman.
So yeah, I cannot move an iron left to right. I cannot fade an iron right now. Oh, I can, but the stock shot is a draw. The stock shot is a draw. With the driver, I'm committing to trying to fade everything, and it's either a smother pull or a nice fade. I'm not trying to hit a draw off the tee anymore. So I have to dial it in, and I really think what the one thing for me with the fade off the tee is dialing in the tee height. I got to make sure it's at the right.
It's on Rahm situation.
Yeah.
Rahm always tees up the draws way higher.
Potentially. So I need to when I tee it down low, it's easy to close the face on it and smother it. Right. But also I hit it perfectly. I hit the center of the club face. When I tee it high, I hit it high on the face. So it's a fine line of getting that perfect tee height where I'm still flushing it, but I'm not smothering it. But I need to fade it.
Maybe we just need to buy you some tees that have those little lines on it that are custom made for you, so so it can be consistent. Yeah.
Well, I'll be getting the clubs out because I need to be training up. Ultimately, Royal Ports, when Matt and I go over to Northern Ireland, is when I need my game dialed. That's the only time this entire year where I need my game dialed. Nothing else will really matter. I will start sending you some clips. I used to be good. I now have the driver yips. I'm basically Nick Dunn, honestly.
Easy fix.
Yeah. And
easy fix. Then you're great.
Yeah. If you just give me
can you have the yips if you're not really playing golf? I don't think they're gone. It's like the hiccups. Once you go to bed, they go away.
I also am getting.
You're cured.
I played the last time I played with, actually not the last time, the time before last, when I played with Matt, I had, what driver was it? I had the new TaylorMade because I did a rental set.
I think you had the QI35. I think you had last year's TaylorMade.
Yeah. Driver. And my current driver is pretty old, so I haven't experienced the forgiveness of the new drivers. And shots that I could feel were going to be just mega slices, because that's my miss, is just a huge Nick Dunn push slice. They stayed in play. They drifted. They were more drifting than they were slicing. So I think also getting some fresh technology in the bag will help me as well.
Definitely. You can see if you can get Rory's legal driver. I guess he's a righty, but.
We'll wrap it with that because you're a Rory guy, so you say that out of love. You were as happy as anyone that I was messaging as Rory was going down the stretch there at the Masters. So, Riz, it'll all be up on the side. We appreciate it so much. We look forward to the.
Thanks, guys.
If the all playoff card comes through,
it's gonna hit. It's gonna hit.
And it makes sense. I mean, it makes sense. The tournament wasn't that far long ago. Like this week,
I'm being funny, but I'm being serious. It's gonna hit, and it's gonna be the best.
I'm down. You'll see that.
Thank you, guys. That was a lot of fun.
Folks. Yep. Talk to you later.
Peace.